Let's see, make sure I don't spill any. These are valuable. Very, very valuable. Good morning, gardeners and homesteaders and everybody else. Welcome back to Sandy Bottom Homestead. I'm so glad you could join us. I'm going to do something that I was hoping to be able to do, but we're going to start a couple seeds a little bit early. Yeah, we're about 2 weeks ahead of schedule, but these are some very special seeds that I've been hunting down for a while. Not this specific variety, but something that would kind of fit my specific need, and we're going to give it a shot. They're a little bit expensive, but I'm excited to see what happens. And the bulk of the seed starting will be starting soon, but this will just be, we'll call it step one. These particular seeds are going to go into the greenhouse, and the specific spot is right here where these bok choy are. As we finish them out and we start harvesting them, it should give us time to empty it, let that row sit for a little bit, maybe fertilize it, and then we can get something else in about 6 weeks. Not trying to rush anything this time of year. It's, you know, you got to be very careful, and we've got to watch the weather, but when we start seeds, we've got time. So let's get these things going. As you can see, I have not used this in a while, so it's going to be interesting to get it all cleared off. The leaves are just relentless right now, but we don't really want to do any kind of crazy raking. So we'll get this straight and then we'll get a couple seeds going. So I got enough of it knocked off to make it a little bit workable. But this is what we got going on here. So I've done my seed ordering from the year, and when they all come in, I'll do a video and I'll talk about the varieties and everything that we're going to plant this year. But this one in particular is called a cabbage Caraflex. And you can see what they should grow like. So we'll see how it works out for us in our greenhouse. The issue with these seeds are there's only 20 in the pack. So usually when I start seeds, I like to do, you know, either a 6-pack, you know, a full tray of six packs, or a 72 cell tray or something like that. But since these are going in the greenhouse, we're just going to go for it. We're going to see how it goes. Unfortunately, because there's so few, and I don't like to do this in 6-packs. I like to put a couple seeds in, but I'm going to put 1 seed in each cell and see what happens. But this is exciting because I've wanted to grow cabbage in the greenhouse for a while, and it's been very difficult. We're starting seeds early. What date sets you off to start your seeds for spring? When do you start doing it? And usually, what are the first seeds that you start planting? Let us know in the comments below. Before I get into how difficult it is, I've got all the things I need. I've got my container. I've got my starting mix, which I use Pro Mix with microrhizae. And then I've also got some perlite to top it off with. So we'll be using all of that. Now, the greenhouse, cabbage in the greenhouse is difficult for a couple reasons. And the main reason is simply because it gets so big. I mean, I put cabbages in the greenhouse one year, and we got, I want to say we put 4 in there, and because of the size the plant got, we actually ended up getting roughly 2 cabbages, and even then we struggled a bit because we put them in a little early. So you kind of got to contend with that a little bit. But with these, because they're so small, a couple things. One, it's something totally different. And this is where it's good to find the variety that fits your needs or your desires. And this is a need that we have. We want to have cabbage. We want to use it in the greenhouse. It's another very, very frost-hardy crop that simply just won't succumb to the cold in the greenhouse. It'd have to get pretty dang cold here, which it typically doesn't, especially now that we're in zone 8B. So, you know, we can kind of use that to our advantage, and planting these crops will work. So we're in an 8-foot row where we've got kale and mustard greens on the back row that we don't want to lose. But then in the front row, we want to be able to grow something. It's going to be very difficult to grow cabbages. And that's something that, you know, it took me a long time to figure out. Now, I said I had everything, but clearly I didn't have everything because I need water. to get this all started. So in this 8-foot row, I'm thinking I can probably get somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 to 10 of these cabbages in there. So, I mean, that's a lot, you know what I mean? And if we think about it this way, one cabbage, if it gets to full size, which is kind of tough here this time of year, will give us 3 meals. So if we get 2 cabbages out of the greenhouse, that's 6 meals. If we put 8 of these in here, they're about, they look, and I think I've seen them in other places, they're roughly a meal each. So we actually get more meals out of these cabbages than we would if we put regular full-size cabbages, and based on the amount of growing space we have. So it kind of works out well in our favor. And now that I've said this out loud, that we're going to be able to get 8, I'm only going to do 2 6-packs, and then I'm going to save the rest of the seeds because these are hybrids. And I don't know if I save the seed, they'll probably revert back to one of the parent plants, more than likely. So I'm not even going to try and save seeds. And to be honest, I've never saved seed from a cabbage before. I just eat them beforehand. So that being said, you know, at $5 for 20 seeds, we're going to, or $4.29 for 20 seeds, we're going to make them stretch as long as we can. So now we're only going to do 2 6-packs. So I'll remove one of these 6-packs. Let's take this one out. So we're just going to make our divots. Super simple. This way that I've been doing seeds for the past year have really worked out. I really like it. So I'm going to continue going on with it. No point in changing something. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I said that before, but it wasn't really broke, but it just didn't quite work out like I wanted it to. So that's a hell of a little seed pack, isn't it? This was the online special. You can only get them online, so kind of worked out. Let's see, make sure I don't spill any. These are valuable. Very, very valuable. Uh-oh. Here we go. And they just look like cabbage seeds. Nothing fancy, that's for sure. If at any point in this video or the upcoming videos you notice that I have a black eye, I just had a surgery on my eyelid yesterday, so it's probably going to get a little crazy. I'll try and hide it so it's not shocking, but just so you know, I'm good, everything's good, but I did have to have a little procedure done, and you know, it'll be all right. But yeah, black eye is definitely forming and it's getting worse by the minute, so I'm trying to get this done so I can re-ice it. Really, and I know I've done it before, but I really don't like putting one seed in each cell, but you can see that's what I've done. So if we can put somewhere between 8 and 10 in, we'll have a couple extras, which is good because that'll leave us a little bit to experiment with on what these seeds can take for the future. But now I'm just topping it with perlite. So I really like doing this. Really easy, helps contain or reserve the water on the soil, keeps the seed moist. It works a lot better if you don't let your perlite get wet first, but you know what? This is what I have to work with right now. I've got a huge bag, but I don't want to waste anything, so we're just going to keep this going. And I think before I start my next seeds, I'm going to take what's left of this bag here and just put it in the compost, add a little bit extra drainage, a little bit of aeration. But for right now, this will work. Should work, hopefully. Now, because of the cold that we're going to be getting, and you know, we may or may not get, I'm not going to put these in the greenhouse to start. I'm going to put them inside on my seed shelf, get that all going. It's going to be, I think it's going to be 70 degrees today. So we've made it through 3 nights of frost, and I know I've showed you in the greenhouse already, but everything is doing swimmingly well. We're going to pull all the onions back out, let them do what they need to do out there, and just keep growing them. But it's important that we know our weather for this and, you know, your typical patterns. And so even though we start our cabbages first, and they're gonna be in a couple weeks, we'll be able to get a head start on these. And if they start out growing, like they start growing faster, then we'll be able to bring them out here and actually harden them off in the greenhouse. And that'll kind of, because we know that in February, usually we plant where I am in zone 8B in North Carolina. So don't ask me where I'm at, just watch the video and you'll find out where I'm at. We will get, generally in February is when we start to gradually warm up, and we'll start getting days in the mid 70s, but we'll also have cool days, but it allows us to get stuff planted. But being able to harden it off easier and faster in the greenhouse to go get planted in the greenhouse where it's gonna be warmer during the day is gonna allow us to plant roughly 2 to 3 weeks earlier. So we'll be able to get a jump start on our harvest. And that can all change. Every year can be different. If we have a really warm spring, we may be able to start planting everything else out in February. But we want to give these enough time, because if you think about it, today's December 1st. So it's December 1st. Each day is getting smaller and smaller until the 21st, and then we'll start getting more and more sun. So we have until January 15th will be 6 weeks. Now I typically do my seedlings inside for roughly 8 weeks, depending on how fast I feed them and how fast I try to grow them. So we'll try and get those going. But if we are allowed to meet that schedule, then that means roughly January 15th to February 1st, we'll be able to harden them off or have them in the ground by February 1st. That's our goal, is to have these in the ground. So then we have probably a month to a month and a half before we could harvest them, roughly. I bet it'll be longer than that, but we just take what we can, because that bok choy is gonna come out of there within the month. We should be all out of bok choy in there, and then that spot can just kind of sit. We've got radishes right behind it. I'll take and show you. That may or may not produce, and we're gonna let them just kind of keep growing once we get the bok choy out of the way. The bok choy is very big at this point, and the radishes actually aren't doing too bad. I think they got a little too much nitrogen. So this wasn't a crop we were totally concerned about. This will come out, but if that cabbage should roughly be about this size. So we already know what we're looking at as far as how much it can take. And for the record, I am going to put them on a heat mat to speed up the germination. So that will happen. But we're about to get 3 days of rain on and off, and I want to harvest some of my radishes for dinner tonight. So let's see what they got. I think I'm going to have a pretty good radish year. Even though I didn't plant as many, technically, I think these are a lot bigger than normal. Yeah, this pot right here, look at this. That is a radish. That is one of the best looking radishes I've ever grown. Wow. There's a lot to be said for that. So let's get a couple of these for tonight. Look, this one's split, so we'll go ahead and pull that. I always try and pull the split ones first. Just inconsistent watering. And look at that. Man. Here we go. Look at that, man. Wow. Things I did real quick with those when I planted them, and I mean, let me hold these bad boys up. So first of all, I spaced these farther than I normally do, and it really did help with the size. But the thing is I can plant less. If I keep growing them like this, I can plant less but eat more, because this right here will be enough for a side dish. Now, we're not gonna have a radish dinner. We'll probably roast these in some olive oil with salt and pepper is basically what I do, and it is amazing. But yeah, these are definitely something to write home about. I'm happy about that.